the rush to get out there in front of maybe the conspiracy theories. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But there was a lot of that. So, David Zier, how are you?
I'm well. Really tragic. Big impact.
Now, you tried to hook us up tonight with a couple people down there, but obviously everybody is kind of swamped in the
Kathy's the league Maryland House delegate. My friend is her comms director. I just hung up with him a few minutes ago. They're all reeling from this because we're talking about 15,000 jobs in those ports. People are not going to be able to go to work. They're going to be on unemployment. They're trying to model this recovery after the I-35 Minneapolis bridge disaster that happened years ago and see, how they can, get the pieces back together here. So much information to go around. I do have family who are harbor pilots and merchant mariners. I'm waiting to hear from them on what they think. But according to my friend Zach Wanuga, who's the director of communications for Zaliga, that these guys followed protocol on the boat and did everything they could. There was a warning. And the one thing, I'm not ruling out terrorism, but one thing is, why would they have the Mayday call? Because dozens, if not hundreds of lives were saved because of that call in advance when it was out of power heading into that bridge. That last minute turn's concerning, but, did they drop anchor? What could cause that? We have to wait and put all this together. I think it's premature.
Yeah, I agree. I've taken in a lot of different opinions today, and before you send me emails about Lara Logan, I've heard everything Lara Logan has said today. I've seen everything she's written today, and I'm not. And she could be right on the money. We don't know. I also took in people who have been involved with shipping for some time. And Steve Broman, who's been doing it for 30 years, said, I've watched the video over and over. They lost their main engines. Diesel generators started up, which would not give them propulsion, but would give them access to power to drop the anchors. Anchors turned the ship into the beam. For all the comments that a ship doesn't need power to drop the anchor, thank you for the input. I understand that I just didn't think it was relevant in the original post, but you can see the release of the brake. And Fran, I was speaking to you before the show, and of course my first instinct was, what's with the hard left turn on that video that sped up? I think to kind of draw attention to how hard of a left turn it is, as you see the lights obviously go off, come back on, go off, and there's this very extreme hard left turn when you speed up the video, which the guy who posted it, who I saw, did. I think we actually have the footage, which I'm not really all into showing it a bunch of times. But Fran, you were saying, you understand that you were saying what now?
So when power is cut off, the propeller keeps spinning. And if the rudder isn't locked into a position, if it's loose or if it's locked at an angle, the torque of that propeller is going to kick the back end of the boat out from the rotational energy of that propeller still moving. So it's going to just, as it comes to the power goes down and they can't control where it goes anymore, the drift happens because the propeller is still moving that boat, and with the amount of inertia that massive boat has.
Yeah, and so now there is some evidence, and I think, Delgado, you were saying, well, first of all, Delgado, where do we stand? Where do we have, what's the numbers? I know they think all 6 workers who were on the bridge.
Yeah.
No cars went in.
Coast Guard just
they said
suspended
seven workers went into the Chesapeake. Only 1 survived at this point. So it's the assumption that the others did not survive. 6, those 6 are going to be presumed dead for now. What else did you need to?
They're heroic guys, right? They shut the traffic off.
Yeah, they shut and if you watch the video too, because some people were like, "What? They didn't shut the traffic." You see cars going across. You do see a couple cars sneak across at the end, but they do make it across, right? And then all of a sudden, you don't really see anything on the bridge. Crossing the bridge.
What if it was Good Friday? Could you imagine the traffic?
Well, could you imagine
rush
if it was
hour.
6 hours later? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, imagine if it was 6 hours
35,000 cars a day, I think, go
right.
through
So from what I understand, that they did put the Mayday call that they had lost power, and that they did drop the port anchor. So they only dropped 1 anchor, which caused it to possibly, as Fran was saying, kind of make that turn. But of course, it didn't grab; it was just kind of dragging. And it was that momentum, that inertia. And again, it wasn't even going that fast. People, I think they timed it at 8 knots. They had it, which is about 12 miles an hour.
But that ship...
But a ship that size,
right.
It's like stopping a freight train. That's a mile long. It takes a long time for something like that.
I ran some numbers. It's like the equivalent of carrying 2,000 M1 tanks. That's how heavy
That's like me when I go to the gym.
That's 3,000. That's
right.
3,000.
But yeah, so they had lost power, as you noted, and they had a speed of 8 knots, which is actually it's 9 miles an hour, not 12. So it wasn't like barreling through. It wasn't it didn't seem like it was. It didn't seem like anything was out of sorts, so to speak, in their regular operation of how they're supposed to exit that area.
But that's why the warning, the Mayday call went out. And they were able to take some evasive action in the workers stopping that traffic. That Port of Baltimore is the largest site in the country for cars, sugar, gypsum. 52.3 million tons of foreign cargo was transported just last year in the Port of Baltimore.
Now, Lara Logan, formerly of CBS, I guess now on her own, was on with Steve Bannon today. She has a little bit of a different take. She had a piece in the Gateway Pundit that was quoting her, and it's entitled, "Was It an Accident?" Lara Logan, intel sources claim Baltimore bridge collapse on second busiest strategic roadway for hazardous materials was absolutely brilliant strategic attack. Here's a little bit of what she told Steve Bannon today.
To the mic, telling the country that it's not terrorism when your own intelligence agencies are telling you it is. And I know they are, because I didn't make this up. These are not my words, right? I'm talking to people who are on the inside, some who are on active duty, some who are retired, and everyone, literally, from critical infrastructure in Department of Homeland Security to the intelligence agencies, they know there's no other. This is a cyber attack on a critical infrastructure corridor for the United States. This is, for those people who think this is just a river, this is in Baltimore, what does this matter? You don't know anything about what you're talking about. The I-94 corridor on the eastern seaboard is literally what connects the north and south. And when I talk about hazardous materials, right, this is a brilliant, well-planned strategic attack on one of the most important supply chains in the United States of America. The only other one is in the western side in California. That's the only one that's busier. And what you have done, you now have shut it down. And when I talk about hazardous materials, what are we talking about here? This is refined fuels, right? This is propane gas. This is diesel. This is fuel. This is flammable materials. This is oversized loads, nitrogen, chemicals. Everything that you need for your economy to move has literally just been shut down for 4 to 5 years. And how did they do it? They knew that they had to target one of 2 main anchor points on that bridge. There are 2 load-bearing pylons that any structural engineer can identify that are on the end of each side of the bridge. These are the ones that are thicker and stronger than anything else on that bridge. And when you hit one of those pylons, when you take that out, the reason you see so much of that bridge collapse instantly is you just brought 50% of the span of that bridge coming crumbling down. And what you don't see beneath the surface of the water, Steve, is absolutely catastrophic. It is a structural nightmare and a logistical nightmare, because you have the entire bottom part, the concrete part of that bridge, and you don't know the extent of the structural damage to that. And you won't know it until you pull all of that infrastructure out of there and you get to look at it. And so you're talking 3 to 5 years at best. And what you're talking about here is probably building a new bridge. So what you have effectively done now, you've shut down the I-95 corridor that's above ground. So now you're going to have to go north to New York. You're going to have to go south to North Carolina. And your trucks, your hazardous materials are going to have to go around Baltimore now. They're not going to be able to go through it. And what else did you do? You shut down the sea corridor, the shipping corridor, because now the port is shut down, right? And so all those tankers that are out at sea that have hazardous materials on them, those are going to have to all be rerouted. And why can you not move hazardous materials through the tunnel? Why is this such a big deal? Because they created that bridge because hazardous materials, for example, oversized loads, they don't fit in the tunnel system. Yep. And there's other loads that are so dangerous that.
All right, so we're going to hit the break.
Okay.
She's loaded, boy.
But
information.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Man.
I don't know who the they is. I'm not sure if she clears up who she thinks the they is that's responsible.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get back live from Studio 6B.
To see who the captain was. Did they interview the captain yet? No, not yet. Right? Did they get him on the stand?
They're not yet.
Yeah, or get him on the do a presser. That'd be interesting.
They have been interviewed, but I don't know the results.
All right, first commercial break. Want to say hi to everybody in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, YouTube.
I wasn't expecting that.
The YouTube.
Oh, Laura Logan.
I did not see that.
What's up?
Her interview.
Yeah,
I didn't see that
watched
either.
it on the War Room earlier.
Yeah, as the day went on, I kind of started to think. Initially, I was just like, "Oh, what a tragedy!" and all. But then, as it goes on, you start to wonder. I really hope it was an accident.
There's
but
no
I don't want to be
evidence of
naive.
terrorism right now.
What's that?
There's no evidence of terrorism.
Okay,
right now.
That you know about.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
it's really. I mean, it's very complicated to be able to pull that off. Yeah. But with cybersecurity,
according to this article,
Now, if there was evidence of terrorism, I think there'd be high alert all over the country. Golden Gate Bridge and obviously the GW and other bridges and throughout the country would be, on high alert. We're not hearing about that, right?
Well,
that we know of.
Well, I think her point is that if this was a cyber attack and they took over the boat, because they knew this was a place that they could hit this, they could control it and hit this bridge. I mean, a lot of what she says in there is outside of kind of how it happened. Well, like what happens now in that corridor, all the things that this affects.
Right.
It affects obviously coal. It affects a lot of stuff in that area. It's going to inflict inflation, I would say. It could significantly throw a wrench in inflation. It could really affect the economy
cars,
in ways
automobiles.
that have never been. Well, yeah, cars.
You mean it could actually get worse?
Sugar.
It absolutely could.
Sheetrock.
I thought it already bottomed out.
what she's talking about is a supply chain.
Yeah,
of course.
Right? Moving goods and products up and down the coast.
Yep.
That's
costs more money, more fuel, more. They got to make a much longer route, right?
Exactly.
I think we're going to learn a lot about this really quick. Again, if it was terrorism, why is there a Mayday call?
Yeah.
Because
you're going to continue.
Hackers don't.
Well, yeah, you could still do a Mayday call if you were cyber attacked.
Yeah, but that's not what they were claiming. They were claiming the outage, and this boat was cited for propulsion problems before.
Right, but an outage is what they would know and see.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they would experience, but they wouldn't exactly know.
It's not the first time the ship had problems.
Supposedly law enforcement's really jumped into action, though. They blocked off the bridge very quickly, from what I understand. Saved a lot of lives.
There's a Department of Transportation building right on one side of the bridge, so they can close it off on that end immediately.
Well, that's good, because, man, people would have just went flying right over,
All right, 17 past the hour, live from Studio 6B. So we were talking about Lara Logan on with Steve Bannon, and here's the thing. Lara Logan makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. It's not out of the realm of possibility that something like that could be, because this scenario would have played out the same way if it was that, as it did if it was just like, oh my God, we lost power. What's going on? Right. The people in the boat would experience it the same way. But outside of that accusation that she makes, and the they, as she says, they targeted a strategic brilliant. I don't know if she clarified who the they she thinks are, but putting that aside, everything else she said is also as important of the effect that this is going to have about in the area, on deliveries of automobiles, on exporting of coal, on inflation. This could have serious ramifications on inflation. Here we are, the Fed thinking they're going to cut rates this year. And we've heard Mike Flynn and others be talking about a black swan. They thought some of black swan event was going to happen this year.
This would qualify.
This certainly
right?
qualifies as something like that, and the ramifications that this is going to have on a lot of things. And again, it's something I said in the break. It's the effect on the supply chain, which you mentioned, because you're moving goods and products up and down the coast. Either they're heading north or they're heading south. And as Slick Rick pointed out, you add that extra travel of having to go around. That's going to increase your fuel. It's going to increase your time. It's going to increase your labor costs. It's going to increase everything. And they have to pass those costs on. So if you don't think this is going to affect, anything and everything associated with products that come out of there, you're smoking the wacky tobacco.
Well, inventory for cars was finally back, and now that's going to be interrupted.
Yep. And your point about a black swan, right? Swimming. What does a swan do? Swims, right? Right. There you go. Black boat.
You guys remember years ago there was a huge explosion in Baltimore in the rail. There was a huge fire, hazardous material, rail. That whole area has aging infrastructure too, and again, we don't know what happened yet. It could be terrorism, but that area is very vulnerable for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Well, according to this article, if you don't mind me jumping in, Dame, hackers, according to this article, CNBC, hackers can bring ships and planes to a grinding halt, and it could become much more common. Armed with little more than a computer, hackers are increasingly setting their sights on some of the biggest things that the humans can build. Vast container ships, chunky freight planes, essential in today's global economy, can now be brought to a halt by a whole new generation of code warriors. The reality is that an airplane or vessel, like any digital system, can be hacked, according to David M., a principal security researcher. He told CNBC. Indeed, this was proven by the U.S. government during the Pentex exercise on a Boeing aircraft back in 2019. Often it's easier, however, to hack the companies that operate the ports and airports than it is to actually access the aircraft or vessel. But again, that was back in 2019. In December, German firm Hellman Worldwide said its operations had been impacted by a phishing attack. Phishing attacks involving sending spoof messages designed to trick people into handing over sensitive information and downloading harmful software. So this, and the article goes on. Of course, they talk about the blackmail, the ransomware, all that stuff. But when you look at some of the companies they talk to that have been impacted, Danish container ship.
Hold on one second. Hey, Fran, while we're talking, can you see if there's a live, I think there may be a live update right now. I'm seeing ABC News or somebody may have one. Maybe you see if you can find if they're doing a presser. Maybe we'll take a little bit of it. Go ahead, Delgado.
Yeah. Maersk first announced it had been hit back in 2017 by a ransomware attack that prevented people from accessing their data unless they paid $300 million or $300 million in Bitcoin. So, these people are out there, and this is not something new. And I'm sure as AI has now, kind of moved towards the forefront, it probably makes this kind of stuff, this kind of hacking and this kind of control a whole lot easier.
I'm going to tell you something. If you want to know the extent of what guys who are really good from here and from, our enemies can do, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but I think he's a former Navy SEAL. He does a podcast where he interviews other Navy SEALs and other guys who went around the world doing crazy spy kind of stuff. And they talk about, and he has hackers on and he has things on, and they talk about things they can do with the most minimal equipment. You want to get yourself scared on what can happen. I'll get the name of it. I can't think of it right now, but he's a former Navy SEAL and he sits there and talks to these guys. Don't rule out anything. All right, let's take a little bit of this presser and see if we get any updated information.
That's responsible for over $191 million of economic activity daily, something that's responsible for 8,000 employees. And so we know that there's not one angle, one facet, or one part of our society that we're going to be leaning on to be able to address this. So it will include conversations with the General Assembly, but it also will include conversations with our federal partners as well.
Governor, have you been able to reach out to the families and talk to them following this incident?
Yes, we have. We've had a chance to spend time earlier today with the families, and they're remarkable. They're prayerful people, and we had the chance to pray with them. We had a chance to pray for them, and we want to let them know that we are going to keep on praying for them, and not just us, but they have got 6.3 million people, and they've got a whole country and a whole world who's praying for their peace.
Anything that they shared about their family members that you think it's important for people to know? You know, some people saying obviously they're hardworking people. Anything else that they shared with you that you think it's important?
First one.
I think they wanted people to remember that they were family members. They were fathers and brothers. They were cousins. They were sons. And to get a chance to spend time with the family members who were remembering them, not exclusively as hard workers who are working on something that's very important to our long-term success and our long-term pride as a city and a state, but these are grieving family members who are grieving their family members.
When will you be back out, Governor?
All right, that's good, Fran. Sounds like they're going to wrap it up. Yeah, Delgado found it. It's the Sean Ryan Show. Former Navy SEAL Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
And you want to see him interview some of these guys and what they did and what their capabilities are. And he's had actually some hackers on the show that do things on the literally do things sitting there, like take over his phone. Like you can't believe what they can do. And here's the other point that I think has to be made. I listened to Lara Logan, and I think, well, it makes a lot of sense. And the reason you can't dismiss any reporting is what we've all been through in the last 4, 5, 6 years on reporting. Yeah. On things like, I don't know, the Hunter Biden laptop, and on, I don't know, like ivermectin, and, I don't know, many other things where the first reporting, when we went back 5 or 6 years later, guess what? Was actually right.
Yeah.
And everything we told that we were out of our mind and all this other stuff, and they're all right-wingers, these conspiracy theorists. Well, they've all come true. So, yeah, nobody wants to think that this was, it's terrible no matter what it is. But you can't dismiss, especially someone like Lara Logan, who has sources, who's talking to people, and gives you that report, because the Lara Logans of the world have been right more than anyone else over the last 5, 6 years on everything.
Yeah, and you don't even have to go back 5 or 6 years. You can do 5 or 6 days. What did we experience just the other day? Bloodbath. He's trying to stir violence. Something as simple as a word where they try and weaponize it and tell you it's something it's not. And that's exactly what we've been dealing with. So
Lara Logan this morning came out about 9 hours ago, and said she's going to reserve judgment on what happened. But obviously she had conversations after that are very disturbing. So, and I love Lara Logan. We all love Lara Logan. She's been right about most things. So it's not good and scary either way. And And like I said at the opening of the show, our infrastructure in this country, and the vulnerabilities of when you think about energy and you think about things like this, you think about the grid, is
transportation.
This is a day that is an eye-opening day. And the guy running transportation is worried about the height of the bridges and being racist.
And chest feeding.
So, not helpful. All right, we're back right after this. Sports and news coming up. Crazy.
Yep. Crazy town indeed.
Crazy. I just drove over the thing twice.
You had to be like blown away when you saw that this morning when you got up, right? That was happened about 1:30. But I heard didn't really hit the news until 5 or 6 in the morning.
I was watching TV when it happened, like right after.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was up till like 4 in the morning.
I must have caught you, huh?
Yeah, I've been over that bridge probably 50 times. My in-laws were driving up today from Virginia.
More reporting out tonight.
Thank God it happened at 1:30.
There were no vehicles traveling on the Francis Scott Key Bridge when it fell into the ocean, thanks to heroic police officers who jumped into action.
Yeah.
It's now been confirmed that the only people on the bridge when it collapsed was a pothole repair crew.
Yep.
A total of 8 workers were reportedly on a meal break when the cargo ship crashed into the bridge. Ugh. The 8 workers plunged off the 185-foot bridge into the frigid water. 2 of the 8 workers were rescued, which is a miracle.
I think one of them died.
One did, right?
One who was hospitalized and one who refused treatment.
Wow.
He brushed his clothes off and wanted to see his family. He was shaken up a little bit, but nothing major. I guess the good Lord was on his side, a first responder said. The 6 other workers are presumed dead.
Wow. Yeah, I saw a little while ago the Coast Guard called off search for now for the other 6. Wow. It's 50 feet deep, that water was, right? Somewhere in that area, right? Yeah. It's decent depth. Not much, but it's decent enough. Gets murky down there, too.
What do you think about the boats that have...
Yeah. Some big boats with some big bottoms.
It's probably going to take a couple of months.
Well, after our conversation last night about Rona.
They said
out of work.
They can get it done quicker than
3 to 5 years. Yeah.
No, less than that.
Yeah,
much less.
There got to be sense of urgency on this.
Why is the government? Why is the government paying for it? By the way, just curious as a side note.
Well, who else is going to pay for it? What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. Maybe the shipping company and the insurance.
Oh, you
companies?
mean like there's? Well, I guess that would be like a Lloyd's of London suit or something. I don't know. Right?
There got to be some cap on that ship. Can't be. How much could it? You wonder how much it's. Even 20 million is nothing. What is that?
All right, 30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night. There's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, we'll focus the majority of any breaking news or updates on, obviously, the disaster in Baltimore with the bridge. We'll continue to follow that throughout the night. We'll get to some other stuff as well. Let's do some sports. Sports is brought to you by Mike Lindell and MyPillow. Use our code LFS6B if you shop there, and if you do, send us your receipt showing that you used our code, and we'll send you the shirt of the month, which is this one right here. Trump 2024. We'll send it to you absolutely free as a bonus, to way to say thank you for using our code, because there's a lot of them out there. You can use any of them. We appreciate when you use ours. Send your receipts to lfs6b@yahoo.com. The receipt that you get from Mike Lindell, your confirmation email showing what you bought and you used the code, forward that email to us at lfs6b@yahoo.com and tell us what size you wear, and we'll send it out to you. Slick, what's going on?
Well, the NHL and NBA, their seasons are starting to wind down, Big D, as April approaches quickly, coming up right next Monday. A lot of these seasons are coming to an end, and playoff implications on the line. We got the Panthers right now leading the Bruins over in the NHL 2-1, 8 to go in the second. Flyers blanking the Rangers in the Garden, 2-0, 7 minutes to go there in the second. We got the Hurricanes and Penguins tied at 1-5 to go there in the second. Also in the second, Caps and Red Wings tied at 1. Devils over the Maple Leafs 2-1. Second period just underway, and Golden Knights beating the Predators, who have been very hot, but they're losing 2-0 right now. 8 to go there in the first. Oilers and Jets, no score. Flames, Blackhawks, Canadians, Avs, Blue Jackets, Coyotes, Ducks, Kraken, and Stars, Sharks, all coming up 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, respective puck drops. NCAA men's basketball, NIT, little NIT action going on, Big D. Quarterfinal right now. Georgia, the Dogs, over the Buckeyes, 60-53. That'd be Ohio State. This 10 to go there in the second half. Also about 10 to go in the second half. We got High Point beating Arkansas State, 67-55. Seattle U, Fairfield, Cincinnati, Indiana State, coming up 9 p.m. Tip-offs. So good stuff going on there. A little sports action. I'll get to the NBA a little bit later, but let me get to the story. Well, I'll tell tell you, this Shohei Ohtani, boy, that's starting to grow legs, that story. Woo-hoo-hoo. I don't know what's going on there, man. You're talking about one of the biggest names in the game, signed for the biggest amount of money. What's he doing? Gambling. If there is any truth to that, that's crazy. Shohei Ohtani denies making sports bets, calls former interpreter a liar. Dylan Gwynn of Breitbart reporting here, Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani faced the media on Monday and firmly denied that he ever bet on sports. He also called his friend and former interpreter Ippei Mizuhara, he's a Mizuhara, right, a liar. Mizuhara is accused of placing illegal bets on sporting events besides baseball with a bookie named Matthew Bauer. According to Ohtani's lawyers, Mizuhara ran up $4.5 million in gambling debts and stole that sum from Ohtani to pay them off, allegedly. Initially, Mizuhara and the representative of Ohtani said that Ohtani gave Mizuhara the money to pay off the debts. On Monday, Ohtani said he definitely did not make that happen. I am very saddened and shocked. Someone whom I trusted have done this, Ohtani said while sitting next to Will Ireton, his new translator. Ippy has been stealing money from my account and been telling lies, Ohtani said. I never bet on sports or have willfully sent money to the bookmaker. Ohtani spoke in a room filled with reporters but did not take questions. Still, he sought to address the question on everyone's mind. I have never bet on baseball or any other sport or asked anybody to do it on my behalf, and I have never gone through a bookmaker to bet on sports. I was never asked to assist betting payment for anyone else, Ohtani said. I'll tell you, the Dodgers, they're sure hoping that that's not the case with this guy because he's a great baseball player. And but we'll see what happens.
Well, when you say it's getting legs, why? It sounds like a pretty definitive, he took a pretty hard stance in saying no on all accounts.
He did, but I think this Mizuhara maybe have something else to say about this. I think, what do they say? The canary there, so stool pigeon, he's going to be talking. So I don't know. I don't know how they'll trace that. If this guy was his runner, most likely, he's going to be insulated if that was the case. But, you even said right when I broke that story last week, you said this is going to get messy for the Major League Baseball.
Well, it could be if there was anything behind it. But so far, I'm not convinced that there is. And I'll tell you what really makes me not convinced that there is some of the supposed stories about what was bet on what games with local bookmakers do not take $10 million bets. They don't take $1 million bets.
No.
They don't take $100,000 bets. They maybe would take a $10,000 bet. Maybe. There's no local guys that are taking more than that. Very, very few. Maybe the biggest ones in the world, if you could still find some.
Right.
So some of the stories that are out there about how this went down, if you believe it, you don't know anything about the sports gambling world, and especially that world.
Right.
Now, if he told me he was walking into the Borgata, that would be different because they'll take $250,000 on a game.
With a $25,000 a night comp suite.
And especially baseball. Baseball limits are way less than football limits. So there's a lot about this story that doesn't add up at all.
Well, I remember 40 years ago, a story like this starting out with a man named Pete Rose. And to this day, it's still a story. And that was over 40 years, probably about 45 years ago, Pete Rose. Man, crazy. One more quick story. NFL approves radical changes to kickoff rules by 29-3 vote. Dylan Gwynn of Breitbart. Are you bored by the lack of returns and the seemingly mundane nature of the NFL kickoff? I am. Well, after the rule change approved by owners on Tuesday, you will no longer be bored. By a vote of 29-3, with the Packers, Raiders, and 49ers in dissent, the NFL approved a radical new kickoff rule for a one-year trial basis. The new rule will make the traditional first play of the game look nothing like it has looked up until now. The proposal for the new kickoff rule was over 9 pages long, so there is a considerable amount of information to digest. However, here are some of the highlights that illustrate this new rule in a radical departure from the old rule. First, the kicker will be by himself. Yes, you read that right. He will line up by himself on his own 35-yard line. He cannot cross midfield until the ball is in play. So in other words, the kicker can't get involved until the ball is caught, lands in the field of play, or lands in the end zone. The other 10 players in the coverage team will line up at the opponent's 40-yard line. The opponent's 40-yard line. Each player must have 1 foot on the line and 5 players on each side of the ball to prevent teams from overloading one side of the coverage. As for the receiving team, here's how CBS describes the rules. The receiving team has a 5-yard setup zone that runs from its own 30 to its 35-yard line, CBS reports. 7 players from the receiving receiving team must have their foot on the 35-yard line. The receiving team can also have 2 players who are in the setup zone but who aren't touching the 35-yard line. Those 2 players will be lined up outside the hash. Now, wonder why this is 9 pages. The receiving team, this sounds like a hokey pokey, can put our 1 or 2 returners to the field. But if they decide to utilize just 1 returner, then the extra player will have to line up in the setup zone between the 30 and 35-yard line. And they give you a visualization. I'm going to put Damon to sleep.
Wow.
So with that, Big D, they're changing the kickoff rules. They think it's the XFL. They're going to destroy this league, I tell you yet. And that's a right. Now, I wonder why
maybe they should bring in Rona McDaniel to kick it off.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Well, at least the XFL had a kind of a. I mean, it was dangerous as all get out, but it was way more interesting than that. Well, it was they put the ball to the 50-yard line and they had guys race to it.
Right.
Oh, whoever gets it first, and if they collided, oh well.
There you go.
Whoever comes up with the ball gets the ball.
Big D, I'm going to punt this segment back to you.
All right, Slickster, thanks very much. By the way, one of the things I didn't report on the bridge today is because the president spoke on it, and of course he has to inject himself into every moment of everything he talks about. So he let us know today. Oh, cut 2. Here we go.
Cut number 2.
Roll that.
At about 1:30, a container ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times, commuting from the state of Delaware on a train or by car.
Stop it.
Been in Baltimore Harbor many times.
By train or by car? So I guess he had a choice. And
right.
When he went by train, I'm interested to know how exactly he did that.
Yeah. Curious.
Because there's a fun fact I found here. Damon, do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
That bridge is a road and has never had trains go over.
There's no trains. But he did commute for like 35 years in the Senate. About how long was he in the Senate?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. We're talking about him lying again.
No, I understand.
Why it has to be about him.
I understand.
That's exactly what I said.
And it just boggles the mind that he has to sit there. I'm surprised he didn't mention Bo because those guys died, and I know what that's like because my son died.
All right. I despise Biden, but he commuted to Washington from Delaware through Maryland for 3 decades. And he took a combination of Amtrak and driving. Now, he can't string a sentence together, and he's not competent enough to separate the two. But I think his garble was merging the several different forms of transportation to get to Washington. And I always talk about my friend Lee Murphy, who ran for Congress twice in Delaware, who was the conductor on Amtrak, hated Joe Biden because Biden used to call and always make all of the people late from Baltimore Station to D.C.
Right, and then
he would hold up the whole train.
And then he always wanted to get off at the Francis Scott Key Bridge for some reason, even though they didn't have a stop there.
I mean, it did seem to me that he just once again has to try to inject himself into. He just immediately has to go to. It's like when he says anything he does. It's if he's talking to the firefighters, he was a smoke jumper. If he's talking to the football team, he was an all-star running back. If he's talking to the Golden State Warriors, he played with Larry Bird. I mean, I don't know. He just everything. The guy is all of a sudden
I outshot him.
Done it in his past. So he talks about this bridge. You can't just can't. I commuted over it by rail or by car. Right. Well, no, you didn't. No, you didn't commute over it by rail
or by.
Well, there's no railroad to India.
Yeah, it's just, God.
It's just amazing.
Unbelievable. All right, let's do some news. And here with the news is Rick Delgado. What's going on,
Well,
pal?
Speaking of Joe Biden taking credit for, of course, taking the train over that bridge, he also vowed to pay for the rebuilding of Baltimore's collapsed bridge. Here's how that could work, according to this article from Politico. Details, of course, of the bridge collapse in Baltimore are still emerging, but President Joe Biden said the federal government should do all it can to help rebuild the span and reopen the city's ports. There's relatively recent history of how such an approach could work on Capitol Hill, even if these situations are different. Congress wasted no time in responding. An emergency supplemental bill providing $250 million towards rebuilding the bridge emerged the following day. This is when talking about the I-35 bridge that collapsed in Minnesota. This is how quickly they reacted. An emergency supplemental bill providing $250 million towards the rebuilding of the bridge. The following day became law just 5 days after the collapse, following unanimous passage. So I think that's probably what they are basing that, because I know you had that question too, David, in the break. Is the government, federal government, getting involved in getting this bill,
why
this bridge rebuilt?
Why not the shipping company and the insurance company? And why is, I don't know, it seems strange when he said, we're going to foot the whole bill.
Yeah.
So the government will have to rebuild it, but do they go after them civilly and criminally? And is it like through Lloyd's of London, right? Where is this, the shipbuilder? There were problems with this ship. Gauges didn't work, propulsion systems. They had an accident years ago in Europe with the ship. It was built in 2015. So they're going to have to, regardless if it was terrorism or not, they're still going to have to go after somebody, right?
Well, I mean, if it was terrorism, I think that changes the entire equation, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because then this is an attack, and of course they would probably look to do something as they did there for the I-35 bridge collapse, put together a supplemental bill, and probably include the Ukraine funding in there too. So you can't not vote for it.
If it was something other than an accident, and the government decides under Biden to fund it all themselves, does that pretty much shut down any real investigation into it because they're doing it all themselves?
It might. They could deem it under national security.
Sound like Delgado now.
I know.
What's wrong with me?
It's crazy, right?
Let's go to the break here. I got to have a glass of water.
You know what, though? I will say this. It's interesting listening to Lara Logan because of the precision of the strike at the bridge caused the most amount of damage that you could possibly cause striking one part.
It's fishy.
All right, live from Studio 6B. We're back right after this.
No pun intended.
You're watching on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, and share it if you can. But at least hit the thumbs up. We've only got 70 on YouTube.
There's nobody watching.
And we had 300 or so watching. So I'd like to have at least one per viewer. So if you can, hit the thumbs up. Helps get it out there. Let's see what the chat's talking about. Hi, Damon. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Damon.
Hi, Rick. Sue says I already did. Damon, thank you. The Sean Ryan Show. Yes, that is Delgado found it. That's the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, I used to watch his. I haven't watched his clips in a while, just because I've been busy with
he had a guy on.
He's great.
He had a guy on. I don't think he was a former SEAL or Navy. I think he was just a computer guy, and he was talking about like to the degree that he can do things. And the guy was blew his mind. Like, it was so crazy.
Jovan Pulitzer could tap in through a thermostat in the wall to hack the machines.
Yeah, that's like baby stuff. Like this, I'll find the episode and send it to you. You won't be able to sleep.
Because your TV will be watching you.
Well,
it's nuts. James Strong says, Mr. Zier, good evening. I'm sorry, James Stroop, I think that says. It's so small, my eyes are so bad. Huh?
The captain of the boat was Ukrainian, is that true? I just saw somebody say that in the chat.
Yeah, it was an all-Indian crew.
They're Indian. Sri Lanka.
Kyle, did you guys get kicked off last night? No, we didn't get kicked off, but they put some stupid thing on saying, it was sensitive content because we were talking about, I'm not going to say it again because it'll happen again tonight.
So we can't talk about, you know what?
Yeah.
Long pork.
Pittsburgh, PA loves Rav and LFSXP. Thank you, Heather.
Pittsburgh, PA. Go Pirates. Go Steelers. They can't figure out who's going to be their quarterback this year. Interesting.
Who else they get?
They got Russell
Sometimes
Wilson.
They can't figure that out when they're playing, Rick.
They got Kenny Pickett. Right?
Big D needs bifocals.
They picked up,
I just need to get the oil.
They got from Chicago.
The oil out of my eye.
The quarterback from Chicago. Dustin.
By the way, he said I can get the oil out of my eye. Did I tell you guys that? Yeah, you seem interested. Good.
Can't remember.
No.
The Bears quarterback.
Yeah, that's what it was.
When's your oil change?
I don't know if I'm going to do it. We'll see.
What's Aaron laughing at? Awesome.
into the hour on a Tuesday night. Slick's doing sports. Rick Delgado and David Z are going to do the news. Aaron and Fran holding it down as always. I think we didn't do that much news. Let's do a little more, and then we'll do some with David Zier. Rick Delgado's got that. What's going on?
All right. Well, a story that, you know what? Before I jump into this, I got to throw a shout out to Patrick, who I ran into at ShopRite today.
Uh-oh.
No, yesterday.
Is there a picture?
Yesterday. No, I didn't grab a picture.
Oh, the ShopRite you almost ran me over at?
Yes.
Okay.
You guys saw each other at ShopRite?
No, he almost ran me over at ShopRite years ago.
Oh.
It was only 2 years ago.
Yeah, he tried to. He didn't even know it was me. He couldn't recognize me.
He was in the way. He was wearing sweats, which is odd for Slick Rick. I probably why I didn't recognize him because he was wearing Slick Rick. Yeah, he wasn't sparkling and he wasn't swooshing. He was just kind of plodding along.
I look like your everyday dude.
So you were at You were at where is it? ShopRite.
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 You were there today, and you met somebody who watches the show.
Yesterday, his name was Patrick. He was like, "You." I'm like, "You." He's like, "You're on TV." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Love your show. Love what you guys do." So Patrick from Mount Sinai, thank you for watching, and like and share.
You're giving him directions now?
Yes.
Yeah, that happens. Happens now and again in New York.
Hey, just before the break, I mentioned the preciseness of Lara Logan in terms of the preciseness of the strike at the bridge. Well, another story that kind of fits into that preciseness is a story we haven't talked much about, and that's about the terror attack that happened in Russia last Friday. As a matter of fact, the U.S. did warn Russia about a terror attack about 2 weeks prior. I believe it was March 7th.
Yep.
This was the cut from John Kirby. Check it out for yourself. Cut number 6.
I've also seen, hopefully you saw the State Department, our embassy there, put out a notice to all Americans in Moscow to avoid any large gathering, concerts, obviously shopping malls, anything like that, just for their own safety. They should stay put where they are and stay plugged into the State Department for any additional updates and information.
Now,
I'm afraid that's really all I have on that.
That's pretty much all he said about that.
And that was when?
That was
March
about
7th.
2 weeks ago, March 7th.
Yeah.
And what caught my attention was the preciseness of the warning. And again, it goes by so quick you don't even recognize it. You don't even hear it. He said the first thing he says is concerts. Now, why is that? Now, I know you're thinking, okay, maybe the tinfoil hat's too tight today, but it is a little strange that it would be concerts before he would say something like supermarkets, malls, schools, open places of gathering, places where you don't have security, where you don't need a ticket to get in, as opposed to a concert hall, which is enclosed, that you need to pay or you need to have security at to get inside. It's kind of an odd thing to be the first thing that tumbles out of his mouth. And the first thing I thought of was October in Israel. Where were they? At a music event, at a concert. So it kind of got my attention, and I looked a little bit more into it in terms of the duty to warn, basically, because people are wondering why this was even mentioned. Well, the U.S. warning to Russia couldn't have been plainer. 2 weeks before the deadliest attack in years, Americans had publicly and privately advised President Vladimir Putin's government that extremists had imminent plans for just such a slaughter. The United States shares those advanced intelligence indications under a tenet of the U.S. intelligence community called duty to warn, which obliges U.S. intelligence officials to lean toward sharing knowledge of a dire threat if the conditions allow. Now, again, John Kirby made this declaration and announced it and said that we had a duty to warn them of the information that we had. Clearly, they didn't have it. We knew that. Such warnings aren't always heeded, he mentioned, and the United States has dropped the ball in the past as well on at least one Russian warning of extremist threats in the U.S. So it's kind of an interesting thing, but kind of caught my attention again because of the preciseness. And I go back to this bridge strike with this boat and how just the right spot. It's now closed off the shipping, which can go in and out because the pieces of the bridge are underwater. They can't traverse that.
So what caught your? I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm not understanding kind of like why it's important to you. What caught your attention? The fact that we gave a warning or Russia didn't listen? What? Which one?
Concerts.
The chatter was that it was going to target a concert hall.
Concerts.
But this goes.
Aren't our guys supposed to know down to the detail? Like, I mean, isn't that like what they do in the CIA and all these places? Like they know down. I mean, what's strange about the fact they could target that it was going to be a concert?
Well, because it was the first word out of his mouth. And usually, to me, that means that was something you knew that maybe you weren't supposed to say. We hear it from Joe Biden all the time, right? He says stuff that he's not supposed to say, and then he catches himself, and then he keeps going.
I'm going to get in trouble.
And he hopes you don't pick up on.
Why would he not want to say concert specifically?
If he
Isn't our job to warn him?
I'm saying out loud. I mean, in the broader context, I want to say, press conference area, like internally. Here's what we got. We've got chatter on a concert. We've got this. We've got these 3 places or these 2 places you got to pay attention to. But for a broader message, like something like that, where he just says concerts and then other public gatherings, that it just got my attention. And maybe that's the conspiracy side in me that goes, you know what? Maybe they knew something more than what we're seeing because, it's ISIL. I'm not buying the ISIL attack. I'm sorry. It's not plausible to me.
There's so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack. Victoria Nuland, who's accused of going back all the way to Operation Gladio, which was set up in the Eastern Bloc countries after World War II to prevent the communists. There's so much to unpack. But she said things like that Russia is soon going to feel inside Russia, they're going to have problems. And I forgot.
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing her. So she was saying that too.
And remember, she just stepped down from her post in Ukraine, where she has been for well over a decade, controlling and picking who the leaders are going to be.
Yeah, but this thing is like so complicated, Rick. These Tajik guys, there's like 2 or 3 million Tajiks in there from Tajikistan, and they're like an immigrant labor population in there. A couple of the suspects just got back from Turkey because their visas expired, I think, and went. I don't know if they renewed them. I don't know how they did it, but there's so much to unpack here, and I think it's gonna take a while to unwind this whole thing.
Yeah. So like I said, it's just because we haven't touched upon this story much, and again, just you never buy the initial report because you know it's going to change, and we've seen it. Yeah. You pointed it out, Damon, at the top of the show, where 5-6 years later, you go back and you'll be like, "Wow, they were totally wrong about this. It ended up being what we thought it was."
Well, Tajikistan, they're rejecting this collective security treaty organization. Armenia already left, and it's like the Russian version of NATO. It's like the old Warsaw Pact countries that's going on there. They have had threats and attacks by the Tajiks. And a lot of people point out that these attacks, if it was IS, that they weren't suicide bombers, and typically they are. But there have been Islamic State attacks in Russia where they did not kill themselves. So this whole thing is such a mess. I think it's going to take a while.
Yeah, and when you talk about ISIL, I think, or ISIS, whatever you want to call it.
Now it's IS.
It was created.
ISIS-K.
You can say it. It was us. We did it.
No, you can't say that.
Yeah, you can.
We don't. You know that.
Know.
You know that we did it.
Donald Trump announced it many years ago. He called Obama and Clinton the father. He called Obama the father of ISIS.
So the U.S. went to the concert hall and killed 140 people.
Excuse me.
The U.S. planned the attack. Is that what you're talking about?
We don't know what happened. All I'm saying is there's a lot that we don't know, and there's a lot of stuff
we don't know
that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm not a Victoria Nuland fan, nor am I a Zelensky fan or the Ukrainian government.
So, anyhow, I got story on Diddy coming up.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for
Prince
that.
Harry is involved.
Really?
His name got dropped.
Good Lord.
All right, hour 2 coming up live from Studio 6B. I have no idea what the hell either of them is talking about. So, hour 2
on
coming
anything.
Up. Right, but why
I don't think it was an
possibly-
accident.
Why
And
possibly
then all
would
of
he
a sudden
not
it slips
be able
out.
to? Why though?
I don't think he made it was a
What
mistake.
about saying the word concert would be a no? Why? I don't follow this at all. Like
Aaron said it's going to be a short break, 2 minutes.
Yeah,
what
something's wrong in
Yeah,
there.
it jumped.
One of their ads files.
Did
is
somebody
probably-
hack it?
Are we sure we're in break?
No, we're in break.
Yeah, we're in break, but the clock and
Woof.
Okay.
What a yump.
So we're going to come back with a minute left in the hour.
Yeah, they have a. Yeah, I'm looking at this now. They have a bumper in there that isn't timed right.
So should we talk for a minute and then roll the opening, or what should we do?
Well,
Roll it.
Oh, I don't know. Figure it out.
Come on.
I have a minute.
Figure it out.
So we're going to come back. Actually, not even at the top of like a minute. We're going to come back at
no,
like
yeah, right before 9. Yeah.
we're coming.
We're just talking then.
No, we'll be live everywhere once that goes down to 0.
All right, so just roll it. We'll just roll it early. Just roll it like it's
Roll
the
it.
top of the hour and whatever. They screwed it up. So
Where is P. Diddy? Somebody just asked that in the chat. Where
He's
in
in
the
Miami.
world?
Hey, Rick, regarding Russia, have you looked into the blue shirt men theory yet?
oh Jesus.
Oh, my
Not
God.
yet.
Now, France stoking the fire.
Yeah, look up the blue shirt men.
Well,
Just like the blue roof.
The
man.
blue,
Men
blue
in-
man
the men
group.
in
Blue
blue.
Roof Men.
Why don't we all just
Right.
join Blue Man Group? Go to
I'm
Vegas,
blue, ba-da-bee-da-ba-ba.
bang some drums.
I could do that.
I'm blue.
Oh, did the thing go back now? Did we get another minute?
Good Lord.
Oh.
All right, so we could be live on the air at any time. We have no idea. What's
We're
going
under a cyber attack here.
It definitely just changed.
We got hacked.
Yeah, our clock
Believe
got
me,
hacked.
we're a bunch of hacks.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe they
Yes.
heard us talking about it and
See?
fixed it.
That could be. Good Lord.
Someone's watching program
It was
somewhere.
Facebook.
Fran, you're watching program on TV in there.
Well, I'm watching the master play.
Hey, Trump won, said Delgado is correct. You people better wake up. You see? These people are onto it. Trump one is a good follower, too. He's in the chat all the time.
IU versus South Carolina. My Hoosiers have no chance. Is that women's or men?
Gotta
That
be.
must be women.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think they made.
What are they?
or did they make
Well, there's a
that?
women NIT going on tonight. Let me see.
Someone said Delgado is always right. Oh my. All right, live from Studio 6B, Hour 2, Real America's Voice on a Tuesday night. Slick Rick's doing sports. Rick Delgado's doing news.
or something.
Aaron
to that
Fran
effect.
holding it down as always. We'll get to some other things going on here in Hour 2. If you're following us on Real America's Voice, Getter. I want to thank everybody for checking in. If you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, you're seeing this craziness going on during the breaks. Some behind the scenes of what goes on. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow and hit the thumbs up and share the show. Get it out there. Numbers keep growing on the YouTube and the Facebook stream, which is good. Let's get it out to as many people as we can. Lots to do here in Hour 2. We'll continue to look for updates on what's going on in Baltimore. Obviously, I've got a couple things we want to get to, but let's do some news right now with the host of Breaking Point, 8 a.m. Saturday mornings right here on Real America's Voice. Don't forget this Saturday morning, Dave Bratt, the great Dave Bratt, who will be live at the America's First Warehouse tomorrow night. And, of course, you will be able to see that entire show on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. on Breaking Point. Mr. Zier, what's going on?
I got to tell you, I'm so excited about Dave Bratt coming here. He will be here, and we'll probably do maybe the Sid Rosenberg show the next morning.
Oh, nice.
In Manhattan, the number one show in the tri-state area on WABC. And Joe the Box is opening up the America First Warehouse to let us do this interview. It's a one-on-one sit-down with Dave Bratt. You know, he's got so many amazing stats, like we were talking about last night, the real GDP growth and the effects on, the debt because if you have GDP growth, it doesn't matter if you have a $2.5 trillion deficit. And the impact of illegals on the economy. The left on the media is saying, oh, the illegals, they benefit the economy, $50 trillion. So he's got all the numbers. He's got all the data. And he's really just spectacular, and the authority on what's going on. I took some notes from him, in a conversations with him recently. But you'll see it on Saturday morning. And I'll probably I'll be back here Thursday night and, maybe show some clips from it. I'll be posting it on social media for a week or two afterwards. But just probably the best, between him and Dave Walsh and Steve Bannon, and there's such a force of exposing, what's really going on in the United States. So very important stuff.
All right, very good. What's going on in the news? Anything?
There's a lot going on in the news here, and there is this hailstorm that took place in outside of Houston over a span of like 10,000 acres. And it damaged thousands of panels across thousands of acres of solar farms outside of Houston. Now, it takes hail over 2 inches to do this types of damage. And some environmental groups are concerned about the quality of the water, if these materials that are inside the solar panels leach into the groundwater, but that would take a very, very long time to do. We'll have to see, where that goes or if there'll be any studies. But the cost of doing these projects, they give their investors an 8% return. I have a background in solar farms. And, here in New York, we brokered solar farms, but they're only for like 10% of the grid. And you can't go more than that because you need fossil fuel combustion, natural gas and coal cycle, plants to keep the electric grid going. So these things are only a backup. And the expense, like the windmills, it's like 11 times what it costs fossil fuel production. The solar too. So they give their investors like an 8.5% return on these things based on the cost to build these things. So who's going to fix this? And if they fix it, will it bankrupt the operation? And will they be able to give the return to their investors? Texas has had some hostile weather in the last couple of years. We know what happened with the windmills freezing up years ago. But it's something to follow closely. And guys, I downloaded the cut list here, but I can't seem to pull it up. I had this crazy teacher on TikTok. I know you don't like these because these trans teachers or people pushing the transgender in schools are all wacko. But if you guys can pull up that cut with the libs of TikTok.
If you want to know what it's like to be trans and work with children but not pass as the gender you identify with, let me tell you. I work with preschool age children, about 3 to 4 years old. I guess my boss sent out an email to like the staff and the parents of my room, letting them know that I'm trans and like what pronouns I identify with and stuff. My coworker is great. She has never misgendered me. And when I'm in different rooms, some of the kids will ask me like, are you a boy or a girl? Because my hair is kind of like a mid-length, but it's short enough that it applies to the kids' logic of like boys have short hair and girls have long hair kind of thing. On my first day in the room, one of the kids asked me how I'm a boy if I have this thing. And then she pointed at like her nose where my piercing is. I've actually had kids correct other kids on my pronouns, saying that he's not a she, he's a boy, and like correct other kids. It's so cute. I've seen parents correct their kids too. The other day I was leaving work at the same time as one of the kids, and she was talking about me to her mom, and she was like, yeah, like, no, but she doesn't, or whatever. And then
this is what's
like,
teaching your children
do whatever, and like kept
in the
talking,
schools.
And I was like, that's
and they're
just
hijacking.
So nice. No one's made it look at
these youngsters. It's really awful. And I just got a quick clip of Jill Biden here. I thought this was hilarious.
History teaches us that democracies don't disappear overnight. They disappear slowly.
Like the bodega?
Subtly,
Oh, no.
Silently.
The Bogota.
A book ban.
The Bogota.
A court decision. A don't say gay law.
Breakfast burrito.
Before World War II, I'm told, Berlin was the center of LGBTQ culture in Europe.
It was?
One group of people loses their rights.
It looks like a 180.
And then another, and then another. Until one morning you wake up and you no longer live in a democracy.
I think David's giving you some competition on what even is that.
Let's make sure let's put her out there for Joe during this campaign season a little more. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she's comparing parents concerned about their kids reading pornographic material at 9 years old or 3 years old to Nazi Germany. So there you have it, Joe Biden, everybody.
Yeah, she's a classic.
All right, very good. We'll do some more news with David Zier. Let's do some sports. And sports is brought to you by Mike Lindell. And here with that is Slick Rick Ammirati. Slickster, what's going on?
Well, we got a breaking news from the Bogota down in... No, here we go. NHL action, big D. Let's get to the ice right away. Have Bruins and Panthers tied at 2. 16 to go in the third. Flyers and Rangers. Rangers came roaring back, Rick, as they always do. Tied the game up at 2 as well. 18 to go in the second. The Penguins over the Hurricanes, 2-1. That's in the third. And also in the third, we got the Caps and Red Wings. They're tied at 2 as well. Maple Leafs right now trailing the Devils 4-3 up in Toronto. 58 seconds to go in the second. And Golden Knights of Vegas giving it to the Predators. 3-0. 19 to go there in the second as well. Oilers and Jets, no score there. That's in the second. And Blackhawks blanking the Flames. 2-0 in Chicago. 2 to go there in the first period as well. Let's check on that. NIT tournament there. What's going on? Here we go. NCAA men's. Oh, yeah. Georgia defeats Ohio State in a thriller, 79-77. That's the NIT quarterfinal. The other tournament that's going on there in the NCAA men's basketball. We have High Point right now just edged Arkansas State, 81-80. Wow, good games. And what else we have? Indiana State and Cincinnati just underway. We'll give you an update on that a little bit later. And it looks like Sauce Gardner got himself in a little hot sauce with some comments the other day. Jets cornerback, great player, of course. Sauce Gardner clarifies comments on Jewish people, receives support from Aiden Ross. Sauce Gardner was on Ross's live stream on Monday. This is Ryan Gatos of Fox News. New York Jets star Sauce Gardner clarified comments he made about Jewish people on Tuesday as the remarks from an Aiden Ross live stream went viral across X. Gardner initially defended himself against the pushback, but deleted the post and offered a new one. I love all people, Gardner said. While my intentions were positive, I just learned that people use those exact words I shared, hate towards Jewish people. This is not what I am about, and I appreciate those who took the time to educate me on the fact. Ross also defended him on the live stream Monday night and did so again. Bro, I'm Jewish, he wrote in reply to Gardner. You did and said nothing wrong. You said Jews run the world in a good way, which is true. I said you were fine, so I'm going to defend you. Don't give in. Bleep these fake woke people. The controversy stemmed from a conversation Gardner and Ross had over a Tesla Cybertruck. Gardner responded to Ross buying the vehicle from another Jewish man by saying, "You all run the world." After backlash, Gardner initially appeared to defend his remarks on X. I love all people, including Jewish people, he wrote. The majority of my agency marketing team are Jewish, and I talk to them almost every day. You probably just look at what I said the wrong way, but what I said was meant to be a good thing. That post was later deleted. The Jets didn't immediately respond to a request for comment from Fox News Digital. The star defensive player is entering his third season in New York. He was an All-Pro and Pro Bowl. He's a great player on the Jets, by the way, Sauce Gardner, but I don't know.
Two guys you won't see stumbling out of the Mensa meeting, Sauce Gardner and Aiden Ross. So I'll just leave it at that. That's pretty much all you need to know about that story.
All they need is Kyrie Irving in the front seat, and they got it made.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a wrap in sports, Big D. Back to you.
All right, Slick, very good. So let's talk about Here, we've debated RFK Jr. and whether you take votes away from Trump or from Biden, and then you see this pick today, and I'm wondering to myself, well, what was all of the? He puts out this video on the State of the Union night. That's one of the best things I've watched in a long time, and then he picks somebody who is left of Karl Marx. Economically, and probably left of the squad when it comes to social issues. And you got to be thinking to yourself, well, what did we all just waste our time talking about this guy for 6 months for?
Yeah.
If for him to make this pick,
he'd have been better off with Aaron Rodgers.
And by the way, this is great. I mean, if you're worried about whether he's going to take votes from Trump or Biden, I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah.
Given where this party's at now, this girl's going to appeal to, like I said, if you're out there left of Marx, economically, she's going to look like a man. What a team this is. So what is he thinking about, Delgado? You were all up in this guy picking. I don't know. We talked about this a bunch. You thought he was going to. I don't know what you thought he was going to do.
I didn't know who he was going to pick. I thought the picks were interesting.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
Jesse the Body Ventura could have been the best one because you could have put him out there, right? Because nobody knows who this woman is. She's nice to look at. She's got a lot of cash, but she's not Jesse the Body Ventura.
No,
who ain't got time to bleed. So I don't know, because you would think you'd want, especially with him, he's got to try and do something that gets people in to take a look. Hey, check us out. We're different from the old establishment Democratic Party. Look what we're doing. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to appeal to the left side, because
Castro wing.
I guess so. because maybe people see him kind of aligning more Trumpish. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand.
I mean, do you get this pick at all? This woman?
She's got money.
I think it's a bad move.
Yeah, she's got money though.
Not a good look.
Yeah, she's got a lot of money.
She's got a lot of money, and from what I understand, this will help him get on more ballots and more states.
And I think did he raise 30 or 40 million already?
I don't get it. No. Good news though. Biden seems like the one he's going to get screwed here. So good for Trump. All right, more news and sports coming up live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night.
He's just gonna skew the vote.
You have two reads here.
Whoa, sound like the blues coming up.
Yeah, I think he would have scored a lot more points if he picked a moderate.
Yeah, would have made a lot more sense.
Especially the position he's in. He's got to get people who are in the middle, right?
Precisely. I mean, I don't know much about her, but people are saying total Marxist.
She's one of his top donors, too.
Oh. Cash and carry. He cut a deal. Might have made a deal with the devil.
I don't know. My cutlass disappeared. I don't know what the hell happened. Here it is. I got it again.
Oh, boy.
Sorry about that, guys, with the cutlass. You going to play that Cut 8, the sped up cargo ship? I put that up. I don't know if you guys did too, but you're going to show that because it shows that last minute turn, right? Yeah. Okay.
Blue. We're doing two reads. Sound like the blues.
Done with debt, NAMAC.
Debt.
Okay.
Down with debt. Down with debt.
All right, we got like 600 watching on social media right now. That's a good number.
We're not really holding them in this segment.
Good number.
We got to talk a little about.
Gotta let them breathe once in a while.
Keep sharing.
Get up, get a drink, use the bathroom.
Yep. Delgado's taking care of his socks right now, right? Where's he?
Is Delgado? All right, let me talked about debt. You go to bed thinking about it. You wake up thinking about it. Here's the truth. The system traps you in debt. High-interest credit cards and loans make it nearly impossible to pay off your debt. And the insane inflation we're all experiencing, it keeps you stuck living paycheck to paycheck. Done with Debt is your lifeline. Done with Debt has an ingenious new strategy to help erase your debt faster and easier than you thought was possible. Done with Debt analyzes all the debt options you qualify for. They know how to reduce bills. They know how to cut interest rates. Their skilled staff and negotiators know how to get debt out of your life permanently without bankruptcy and without taking a new loan. Done with Debt are the experts in brilliant strategies for eliminating debt, but you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive. So here's how easy they've made it. All you got to do is go to donewithdebt.com. That's it. Just go to donewithdebt.com. Check them out, donewithdebt.com, and see if they can help you get your debt out of your life permanently. AMAC is the Association of Mature American Citizens, an organization who's not only dedicated to American seniors, but it's vital for conservatives of all ages. AMAC stands out by not only advocating for senior issues, but also by pushing for conservative values that affect us all. By joining, you're not just supporting our senior citizens, you're part of a movement defending our freedoms and securing our nation's future. Plus, AMAC membership brings you exclusive benefits like discounts on travel, dining, entertainment, and special insurance rates. Regardless of your age, if you're driven to preserve freedom, AMAC will welcome you. This is about uniting youthful vigor with the wisdom of experience in our quest for conservative principles. You can sign up right now at amac.us/Studio6B. Go there now, amac.us/Studio6B. And of course, for a limited time, you can get a free gift membership to give to someone who shares your love for our great nation. I mean, that is a great deal. Don't miss out on this chance to make a difference with AMAC. Join today at amac.us/Studio6B and extend the invitation to a friend or family member absolutely free. And by the way, for you to sign up, it's like peanuts. Remember Slick when they came on the show, they were talking about the price? It was like, what?
Yeah.
amac.us/Studio6B. I don't even know how they do everything for that price. So if you haven't joined,
free.
If you haven't joined AMAC, make sure you join amac.us/Studio6B. Great organization. So, all right, what is it? 19 past the hour, live from Studio 6B. A couple things I want to get to. I saw this, and we've talked about this, so I was happy to see this in Yahoo News of all places. Billionaires seek to help fund Trump's bond in civil fraud case. Levin brought this up, and then I brought it to you just in the last week. Where are they? We asked. Well, here they are. Some major Republican donors are working together to help U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump fund the original bond amount needed to cover his $454 million civil fraud judgment. Three sources briefed on the matter told Reuters. Now, of course, since then, it's obviously been reduced from 454 to 175, and that's 175 still too high.
Yeah.
By the way, because it should be zero. Former Republican President Trump needed to pay the bond in New York civil case in which he was found liable. On Monday, he won the bid to delay enforcement of the judgment if he posts a smaller 175 bond within 10 days. But until that last-minute reprieve, he appeared to be struggling to raise the original amount and risk having his property seized. Billionaire hedge fund founder John Paulson was involved in the behind-the-scenes effort by donors concerned about Trump's legal woes and looking to help provide money toward the bond. Two of the sources told Reuters oil and gas magnate Harold Hamm was also involved. The sources asked not to be identified in order to speak freely about the matter, which has not previously been reported. Paulson, the founder of Paulson & Company, did not immediately respond. Reached by phone and asked about his involvement, Hamm, the founder of oil company Continental Resources, appeared to hang up. A spokesperson for Hamm did not respond to requests for comment either. So, well, there you go. So we asked where people were, and there you go. There's at least two of them that seemed to get behind the president and were trying to help get the 454 together.
And Grant Cardone's wife started a GoFundMe for Trump. Did you see that? They raised $2 million so far.
Wow.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, every little
But
bit
there's
helped.
been like
and now-
33,000 individual donations.
Right. And then on a day like today, where the former president's Truth Social begins trading under the ticker DJT for Donald J. Trump, his net worth jumps to over $6 billion.
Yeah.
And according to this from CNBC, Trump's net worth reportedly soared 6.5 after the media company, and now he is listed for the first time as one of the 500 wealthiest people in the world, according to Bloomberg.
And
yeah, stock did well today in its opening day. Gave a little bit back towards the bell. It was upwards of about 70. Ended up closing around 59. But I think that was to be expected.
But it was up 60% since yesterday.
Yeah, I think one of the things though that stock's going to face is people, just because it's Trump and he owns 58% of it, are going to be looking to. He's going to get some short pressure. I would think, consistent short pressure on that stock to try to drive it down. So, but we'll see how they handle that and how it does on day 2 tomorrow. They listed on the NASDAQ. There was some talk about that yesterday, obviously, and that's where they ended up going. So, but it was good to see that story that there are some Republican, because the Democrat side, they just circle the wagons at all costs at any time. They never have these kind of worries.
Well, they don't have those kind of worries because they don't have to worry about the justice
that's very true,
system
too.
coming after them.
Right, but to the broader point, they always are link arms no matter what the situation is. So, all right, let's do some more news and hear what that's Rick Delgado. What else is going on?
All right. Well, let's see. Let me do.
So, by the way, is the Bobby Kennedy thing? Is he done now?
No, I think he's still going to be a thorn in the side of the Biden campaign. I think he's going to cause problems for them, especially if he increases his ballot access in more states. He's going to cause them more problems. And, you talk about, and I heard Bongino talking about this. I guess he started this, or he picked up on it a couple weeks ago with the Republicans that are leaving the House. And now we see, what's his name, who's leaving, Gallagher?
Yeah.
Picking the day where April 19th, he leaves that day. They can't fill the seat. It has to remain vacant. Like, he can't leave now. He should leave now so they could do a special election and fill the seat. He doesn't want that. So he's going to leave on the 19th, and according to the rules, anytime on the 19th or after, the seat has to remain open.
Till January.
So there's a theory floating out there that this is a coordinated effort to hand the House back over to the Democrats so they can try and pass something to keep Donald Trump off the ballot, keep him from being elected, and try and stop him from assuming the office of presidency should he win.
Well, I mean, I don't know about coordinated whatever, because the Republicans are solely responsible for their own demise here in the House for what they've done. I mean, it's just one catastrophe after another. They just keep stumbling over their own feet. So, I mean, maybe this last part, I mean, okay, one guy, you can say, I agree, he's not doing it the right way. He should reconsider.
Well, when you heard about Ken Buck and he said, I know three to five other guys that are going to do this, why would they do that? Why would they do that now? Because they know the slim margin.
Because there's pictures of them at parties or something. There's got to be something.
Ken Buck's a head case. Ken Buck could be talking about
either that or they are Pluto. Really Democrats. And they want to make sure, and they hate Trump. They're never Trumpers. They don't want to see him come back.
A lot of it has to do with hating Trump,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see that all the time.
Yep.
I mean, I was watching this clip from Joe Rogan where he's talking to some psych guy from, I think, NYU, and he's showing him the clip. They're watching the clip of Trump talking about, a bloodbath in the auto industry, and the guy refuses to believe that that's what he meant. Yeah. Refuses.
By design.
They have mental problems. These people that hate Trump to the point where they could see the evidence right in front of their eyes and still say, no, it doesn't matter. Where you have that guy, we call him a guy, Tristan from yesterday from MSNBC, saying that, oh my goodness, I don't care about the process. This guy's a lawyer. This guy works in the U.S. Attorney General's office or something like that, and he doesn't care about the process of the law. He just wants it to be done.
Crazy.
It's insanity. These people are nuts.
Remember that Obama movie on Netflix?
Yes.
What was it called?
I forget. Something about tomorrow or
worst
something.
movie ever.
Something End of the World?
But the cargo ship comes up on the
crashing
beach.
up into the beach. Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Welcome to the party, Damon.
Damon can't get out of here fast enough. be calling. I ain't coming back. I'm staying down here.
Yeah, they hacked everything, brought it all down.
Yep.
Leave the world behind.
Yeah,
That's what it was called.
Leave the remote behind.
That's it.
And it was a cargo ship, too.
It was.
All right, let's go back over here to the chat. What do we got? 350 on YouTube and 310 on Facebook. Damon, make the show 3 hours long. Please.
Only if we start at 7.
Yeah, that's it. We turn into pumpkins at 9:53.
7:53.
5:53.
Around noon.
If I bring my orange suit, I look like a pumpkin.
Sergeant Abby, hello.
Hey, Sergeant Abby. Oh, he's a regular.
Someone says, David, show your shoes.
On social right now?
They're wingtips.
My
Let's
boot.
do it right now, maybe.
I'm showing my shoes right now.
Oh, you got 13.
Take away Rick's thunder.
Oh, look at that.
Skechers.
Oh, nice.
That's sketchy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, come on.
They're comfortable. It's like walking on air.
That's it,
It's like
man.
walking on the air.
Come on.
Now I can't get it back on. Like gorilla feet.
Someone said, I'd love if LFS6B was 3 hours long.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll have to renegotiate.
This is the fastest 2 hours every night.
It is.
Glad it's for somebody.
Some nights it just don't seem that way.
Hey, you know what? Coming
It
up on
always seems that way to me.
this is, I think this week we're coming into year 5 of this.
Tommy Viper. Tommy Viper. Come on.
You don't listen. We're completing our 4th year, going into our 5th year with this show. Can you believe that?
I
Can't
can.
believe it. Damon says,
welcome
4
to
it feels like 45 years.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Really?
Aaron, wow.
Yeah. That's right.
Wow.
It was a year yesterday?
Wow.
Wow.
That
Roll
went
it.
by fast.
All right, 30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night. I want to take this opportunity to officially congratulate Erin on her 1 year anniversary of being with the show.
Nice.
And she said to me earlier tonight, she said, 1 year, Damon, is enough. I'm out of here. No, she didn't say that, thankfully. She did not say that.
Not out loud.
Not out loud. Yeah.
When she started, she was 21. Now she's 50.
Yeah, now she feels 50. And I don't know what Fran feels like.
It's been 9 long years.
It sounds like a song.
Oh, man, Fran is so funny. It kills me.
Yeah, Fran's right on top of it.
Oh, boy. So congratulations, Aaron. We're glad you met. I mean, I've said serious stuff about Aaron before, and I'll just say one more time. I would have never imagined when Gio told me he was leaving that the show would even be going. And I mean,
in other words, he didn't have much hope for you, Aaron.
Yeah, I know.
Well, not because of, and it had nothing to do with Aaron. I hadn't even met Aaron, obviously, at that point, but it was just because of, well, in my mind, it's not the easiest show to produce.
Well,
I mean, and to direct.
You know what, and I equate it to, because I've been on both sides of this. It's Gio set such a standard, like he had a bar, and for you've been working with him the longest. You knew what to expect. You guys kind of had this kind of connection where you played off well with each other. He knew what you were thinking. He knew what to have available. He knew what to grab. That kind of stuff. Exactly.
He knew it sometimes before I think I did.
Right.
So I just would have never even. I don't know what I thought. I guess I honestly thought that I didn't think we would probably go on. And what Aaron has done with working with Gio, I mean, almost maybe 2 weeks, if that.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
had
it
a
was
chance
2
to, because he had a hard out.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to. I mean, It's hard to even put into words. What Erin's done.
Yeah. She got involved with odds makers too. Helped us out with that.
It's
right?
just unbelievable. I mean, she's just unbelievable.
Yep.
And obviously, Fran. He jokes, but there's just nobody better.
Fran's the GOAT.
Yeah, the GOAT. Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly. Maybe Fran should have his own T-shirt. The GOAT. Maybe a GOAT T-shirt too. But no, the two of them. Obviously, we couldn't do it without him. But and I said that about Gio. I couldn't do it without him, and obviously, I could do it without him because of Erin. And I don't know that I'd get lucky enough twice to have to do this again. I don't want to do it again. But obviously, Erin. It's just.
Especially when you see somebody like Harry step in.
Here's my replacement. This show is in the can.
Damon, the same thing goes for Breaking Point. They produce Breaking Point for me.
Yeah.
I get my rundown 10 minutes before the show to them, and they're able to put it together.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, your show's not easy either.
Yeah. So happy 1 year, Erin. I hope it's 10 years or whatever. But it's just what you've done over a year has been. Amazing.
Thank
Just
you.
absolutely amazing. Erin does other stuff, by the way. She's so talented in other things too. She does her own shows and podcasts and things, and she's working at the radio station here on Long Island. So she's not just doing this. This is what drives her crazy. Everything else is what brings her joy, probably. But
No, this is the most fun.
Okay, there you go. So no, she's extremely talented. So
we pay you in fun
and a sweetheart.
Yeah.
So
Delgado, you're brainwashed.
All right, enough nice stuff. Let's get back to being mad about MAGA or whatever how we do. 33 past the hour. Let's do some news. But did we talk about Ronna I talked about Ronna McDaniel yesterday, and I guess the positive thing on this is that NBC was much more decisive than the RNC was.
Talk about a hard out.
To be fair, NBC knew the loser that they had before the RNC did for a long, long time, and if we had been as decisive as they were. Maybe one election, maybe two, and thought, well, this losing thing's not really working for us, and just being behind all of these things and being caught with our pants down all this time and not doing what the Democrats are doing and spending all this money on these things. If we had caught on to it maybe earlier, I don't know, 6 years ago or 4 years ago, maybe we'd be in a different place. And obviously NBC caught on to it that this is not going to work in about 5 minutes. And let her go, which, of course, we did not. We held on for a long time before we decided to cut bait.
They got rid of her faster than they got rid of Scaramucci.
Yeah, well, Scaramucci lasted about 11 days at the White House.
Something like that, 9 or 11. Yeah.
Well, that was Spicer, right?
She lasted 5.
Yeah.
Well, what's insane is, I think it speaks to the problem at NBC, is you have the inmates running that asylum. The boss should have said, no, this is who you're going to work with. Right. Suck it up. If you don't like it, right? Yeah. Leave.
But they're not a news organization.
Right. They're ideologues.
As much as the owners of Fox hate Trump, they still have liberal pundits on Fox. Even the conservative host.
Look at Jessica Tarlov. You can't be more whacked out than her.
And don't think for a moment they wouldn't have jumped at the opportunity to hire Jen Psaki, because that would have been a great get for them.
Right.
Because it's all about both sides, right? It's about putting the best thing on TV.
But I find she's a victim.
With that said, I still don't know why Juan Williams is there. I still can't figure that one out.
He's the worst. Right. But Ronna McDaniel, this is what happens when you ride the middle of the road. She couldn't commit in defending the J6ers and said, oh, they deserve to be in jail. And then, even though she said violent assault, said anyone who did that needs to be in jail. But she didn't defend the J6ers. And then on the other issue with the election fraud, she's been claiming there's election fraud for years, and all of a sudden there were irregularities. Right. So you ride the middle of the road. The left will always run you over. Al D'Amato's campaign manager, Arthur Finkelstein, used to say, don't go after the pro-choice vote. They're never going to vote for you. So that's what happens. Either you got to be who you are.
Right.
You got to be true.
Take a stand, because now she's got no home. Now nobody
well, that was my point, right?
President Trump addressed this today on True Social, and he said the following. He said, wow, Ronna McDaniel got fired by fake news NBC. She only lasted 2 days, and this is after McDaniel went out of her way to say what they wanted to hear. It leaves her in a very strange place. It's called Neverland. and it's not a place you want to be. These radical left lunatics are crazy, and the top people at NBC are weak. They were broken and embarrassed by low ratings, highly overpaid talent. Bring back free and fair press. Make America great again 2024.
Yeah.
So there you have it from the president weighing in on Ronna McDaniel.
That was Nikki Haley's problem, too. She could never give a straight answer. And, people saw it. Anyone I spoke to on the ground in South Carolina said that. She wasn't sincere.
All right, let's do some news. And here with that is, first of all, Rick Delgado. News is brought to you by Mike Lindell. That's sports is brought to you by him. Yeah. News is brought to you by 7 Cells. God. 7cells.com. Our code LFS6B saves you 20%. What's going on, Delgado?
I don't know, vacation brain. Let's see what's going on here.
Stealing my covers.
One story that
we'll pay 3 sheets to the wind soon.
we touched upon last night, and now I teased a little bit earlier. Let's do an update with Sean P. Diddy Combs. He's responding finally. Turns out he wasn't in Barbados or Bahudos or wherever he was, where his plane was. Sean Diddy Combs says he's the victim of a witch hunt. Boy, that sounds familiar. And bemoans the military-level force used against him as he finally spoke out following the Monday double raid on his estates. His attorney, Aaron Dyer, broke Combs' silence just over 24 hours after Homeland Security investigated Combs with a statement on the Daily Mail. Yesterday, there was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed on Mr. Combs' residence. There's no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities on the or the way his children and employees were treated, Dyer said. Mr. Combs was never detained, but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. This seems to be a running theme, where you speak to them, you cooperate, but they still come guns ablazing and knock down your door. He added, despite media speculation, neither Combs nor any of his family members have been arrested, nor has their ability to travel been restricted in any way. Combs has been speaking to customs agents at the airport 15 minutes from his Miami Beach home Monday evening, but was never arrested. So again, that's coming from his lawyer, calling this an unprecedented ambush paired with an advanced coordinated media presence. Again, we've seen this before. Welcome to the party, Mr. Combs. It's amazing what happens when they turn on you. Leads to a premature rush of judgment of Mr. Combs and nothing more than a witch hunt based on the meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. So there you have it. The rapper, of course, has not been seen since. And, sources told Page Six that Combs was planning to fly to Bahamas to spend time with his 17-year-old twins when the agents swooped in on his properties. They gathered up numerous electronic devices, though no criminal charges have been filed, and Diddy has denied any allegations of sexual misconduct, which I guess stuff like that has been floating around for a while when it comes to...
a long time.
Right? Long time.
Long time. By the way, Justin Hart on Twitter tonight says Lara Logan never met a fake psyop that she didn't love. Port of Baltimore barely breaks the top 20 ports in the U.S. by tonnage. It doesn't make the top 100 worldwide. If this was indeed a terrorist attack, it was a very mediocre target. So there you go. Just a little different opinion. So, I mean, they're all out there.
Yeah.
What to believe?
Now, connected to the Diddy Combs case is someone by the name of Prince Harry, whose name got dropped in this bombshell $30 million sex trafficking lawsuit against the Bad Boy Records founder. Producer Rodney L. Rod Jones filed a $30 million lawsuit against the music mogul last month, citing he participated in acts such as sexual misconduct, grooming, and sex trafficking, the Post can confirm. According to the docs, Jones claimed that the Duke of Sussex, 39, and other A-listers affiliated with Diddy to give him legitimacy. The update comes amid the Diddy Dirty Money members' mansion being raided. Law enforcement sources told the Post the feds moved in because they wanted to seize Diddy's phones and computers. They also alleged that there would be further raids on houses associated with the mogul in New York and Chicago as well. Just hours later, again, Diddy pushing back with his attorney outside Miami Airport. So kind of an interesting ripple there. The UK royal is not being defended right now, and he's not been incriminated according to this. His moniker has only appeared once in the documents. So there you have it. This coming from the New York Post. And again, it's strange to see somebody like, Prince Harry involved with this. But you never know. These people, they travel in certain circles. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, where is Diddy? Is he in Barbados?
Supposedly he's in Miami, but maybe he was supposed to go to the Bahamas. I don't think he's going now.
No. Barbuda.
Wonderful.
Right?
Look at Big D and Diddy and Deep Duty.
He's in the Bahamas?
He was supposed to go to the Bahamas.
Okay,
oh, boy.
Big D will be heading there tomorrow. So if I see him, what do you want me to ask him? Throw your rollies in the sky?
Yeah.
Wave him side to side? What do you want? What do you want me to?
Find out who killed Biggie.
Okay.
No, they missed. That was the problem. They missed.
I'll report in to the show if I see him.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Try and take a selfie with him. And don't count.
I think Taylor Swift and what's her boyfriend's name? Travis Kelce are also in the Bahamas right now.
Oh, really?
Are they waiting for you to get there?
You might bump into them.
I might bump into them.
Wow, look at that.
That'd be fun.
Give him a push-tush. Or tush-push.
Something with the tush.
You never know.
Space.
All right, one more to go.
And on the road.
Live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night. We'll wrap it up right after this.
The hip drop tackle. Yeah, they banned that. They banned that yesterday.
Why, too many injuries?
Yeah, but like Damon says,
I told you pretty soon they're going to be hugging each other.
Yeah, it's going to be flag football.
It's a joke.
Yeah, sports is really going off the
right. So now it's the lower body. It was the upper body, and now it's the lower body. So where can you hit somebody?
Did you hear Adam Schefter today on Pat McAfee? By the way,
no.
He said the Cowboys are in a situation with Dak Prescott going into the last year of his deal. If he leaves after this year, the dead money cap charge is $95 million that they have to spread out. If he becomes a free agent next year, there'll be no shortage of suitors. So what's he going to do, Slick?
He's going to sign him. He has to extend him. He has no choice. He has to extend him. You have to. It's $59 million against the cap this year. He's killing him. He's got to extend him. They have no choice. They got in bed with him. We'll see what happens. I haven't heard much about that rape accusation, though, right? That's still, I guess, marinating in the courts.
Let's have a little. Give me a little sound here, friend.
Yeah. Time to do a deal with Dak was before free agency, and they didn't do that. So there was no cap savings. So if they wanted to go get some of these marquee free agents that were out there, they're gone. They're off the street. So now they're in a situation with Dak going into the last year of his deal. He's got a $55 million cap number. If he leaves after this year, the dead cap money charge is $95 million that they're going to have to spread out.
Jeez!
Yeah, which would be a new NFL record. Even though
$95 million dead cap, and he leaves, and no trade clause, no tag clause.
No,
so when you're going into the last year of contract, he now becomes the 2024-25 version of Kirk Cousins. And Dak, to me, is a really good quarterback. So if and when he becomes a free agent next year, Dallas may want him back, but there might be a quarterback-needy team. Giants, Commanders, who knows? Like, we could go through the list right now. There'll be no shortage of suitors for Dak Prescott as a true unrestricted free agent on the open market. Like,
that's an ESPN dream, isn't it? That's for you.
Oh, man. Send him to Cleveland. Tell me how he knows that.
Sounds like your team's going to be losing their quarterback after this year. Philus, no Shep.
Sound like the Blues. No, he's going to extend him. They're trying to get a deal. They're trying to get a deal done.
Doesn't sound like it to me.
Dak's got some serious legal problems.
Strip club too many times.
He's got some serious legal problems, Dak, though, right now. He's dealing with. So we'll see. We'll see, boy. That's a lot.
All right, let's do Zier news here, then we'll do Slick and wrap it up.
It's a lot of sleep numbers. Oof.
Oh, I got a quick...
yeah, go for it.
Just a quick...
I don't have anything riveting for sports.
All right, 13 to the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night. We'll do some news and sports here to wrap it up. We'll start the news with the host of Breaking Point, Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. right here on Real America's Voice. Now would be one Mr. David Zier. What's going on?
So much going on. Chicago, Ben Berquam's been on the ground there for a couple of months exposing what's going on. And last week, he released more footage of him with Pastor David Lowry and Terry Newsom, who's a parent activist who was put on the no-fly list for attending school board meetings and fighting the government on what their kids should see. But Matt Gaetz got him off that list. But these guys are great, and they're exposing what's going on at these Chicago illegal alien facilities. In Chicago, in an abandoned warehouse that was converted. Meanwhile, right next door, they've got warming buses for illegals. And then right next to that, they've got, U.S. veterans, military veterans in the United States in a tent city outside, basically freezing. And not getting the same services as the illegals are, but they Terry Newsom FOIA'd the government. And if everybody knows a FOIA, it's a Freedom of Information Act request to the police about what's going on in that illegal alien shelter. So extraordinary. And 200 pages of reporting returned from just a period of January 2022 to February of 2023, just a year. 200 pages of violent crimes, aggravated battery, assault, domestic battery, burglary, robbery, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, aggravated criminal sexual assault, child abuse, child abduction, endangering the life and health of a child, and multiple stabbings. This is what Joe Biden and the Democrats have done to America. Really crazy. So we're very grateful for their coverage. In other news, really quick, Blacks Only George Floyd scholarship spurs federal civil rights complaint as wrong and unlawful in the Washington Times today, talking about North Central University's George Floyd Scholarship violates Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits educational institutions from racial discrimination. The Equal Protection Project of the Legal Insurrection Foundation stated in the complaint. I guess they're the ones who filed this complaint. But listen to this. The information page for the scholarship says only eligible students, a student who is Black or African American, that is, or a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. So once again, these people are unhinged. And the squad, which is AOC, Jamal Bowman from New York, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib, Greg Kasser of Texas, and Summerlee of Pennsylvania, they've amassed $224 million in earmarked spending requests in just the last 2 years, just those 8. So you want to know where your money is going. It's to over 120 pork projects that were in the 2024 spending package alone. And each member of the chamber can request a minimum of 15 earmarks. Combined, they've made 108 earmarks, I believe, actually. So, that's what's going on in Congress. And Wyoming became the 23rd state to outlaw gender-affirming care for those under 18 years old. So thank God there's some sanity in some of the state legislatures across the country. And that's what I got for you guys.
All right, David Zier, very good. The host of Breaking Point. Make sure you watch Dave Bratt. Will be on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Make sure you tune in for that. All right, let's do some sports. Then we'll do a little with Delgado before we wrap it up. Sports. What else? Anything left in sports, Slick, that you need to do?
Yeah, a couple of scores. Barn burner in the Garden. 6-5, the Rangers lead. 11 goals scored, and they're in overtime. The Rangers just won it in overtime, actually, with 4 minutes to go there. So good stuff for the Rangers. They're playing well. They look like a team that's destined for some heavy run for the Cup. Big D. Devils and the Maple Leafs 4-3. Devils leading that game. 5 to go there in the third. Golden Knights taking care of business against the Predators 4-1. End of 2. Jets right now trail the Oilers 2-1. Flames trail the Blackhawks 2-0. Canadians 2-1 over the Avs. Earlier tonight, the Bruins defeated the Panthers 4-3. Another good team that's going to have something to say in that Stanley Cup playoffs. Penguins right now 4-1 over the Hurricanes. Actually, that just went final. And in OT, the Caps topped the Red Wings 4-3 in OT as well. A lot of OT going on. NCAA men's basketball right now. NIT quarterfinal. Cincinnati 31-30 over Indiana State. 3 to go there in the first. Seattle U and Fairfield just underway. Tied at 8. 11 to go in the first. As I said earlier tonight, Georgia won and High Point as well over Arkansas State. Moving on in the NITs. Good stuff there. One quick story I'd like to get to, a little political here. Pennsylvania Senate Republican candidate Dave McCormick goes to the mat with ad on his high school wrestling career. Sean Moran, he's pulling out all the stops, I guess. Pennsylvania Senate Republican candidate Dave McCormick launched an ad on Tuesday focusing on how his days as a Keystone State wrestler gave him the grit to go the extra mile. Pennsylvania wrestling taught me to do the hard thing. Hard work, hard choices, McCormick said in the ad. That's not what we get from Washington. The career politicians don't do the hard work, he continued. McCormick not only hopes to showcase his grit, he hopes to connect with Keystone State voters that love wrestling. A press release from the campaign stated. While at Bloomsburg Area High School, Dave was co-captain of the wrestling team and came in 4th place in the Commonwealth. He was a PIA District 4 champion and was inducted into the region's Hall of Fame last month. Dave went on to wrestle at West Point, where he was co-captain of the Army wrestling team and twice qualified for the NCAA Division I tournament. So he wasn't a top wrestler, but, he hit the mat hard, and, that's good to see. So maybe he'll bring some of that wrestling. You got to do plenty of wrestling on that floor with Congress and the Senate. I can tell you that. That never ends. Anyway, Big D, I'm going to throw it back to you as you say goodbye to us for a few days.
All right, Slick, very good. Yes, I will be off until next Tuesday.
Party.
So the boys will be partying without me here.
That's it.
Yeah,
And,
Kevin Downey Jr. is going to join us tomorrow night. He's agreed to step in.
He's busy tonight.
There you go. Mr. Zero will be back on Thursday and Friday.
Good stuff.
And Monday, and I'll be back on Tuesday.
Oh,
maybe.
Good.
So, anything else in news, Delgado?
Unless you get detained by the Diddy police. Real quick.
Or I go on tour with Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Another piece of work.
You could do the tush push. You could be one of her backup dancers. That'd be great. Real quick, an update on the search and rescue efforts. It was officially the U.S. Coast Guard and Maryland State Police announced they were suspending the search for the 6 construction workers. So that's now official. They announced that just after a little bit around 8 o'clock. A couple other headlines according to that have to do with that incident. The Dally was inspected 27 times since it was built in 2015, with deficiencies found twice. It was piloted by a Baltimore expert crew at the time of the collision, so anybody thinking that they purposely tried to steer it into the bridge, there's some news for that. The ship captain ordered the crew to slam the rudder hard port and drop the anchor in a desperate bid to slow the propulsion of the boat. And the Dally lost propulsion shortly after leaving port. Experienced pilots could do nothing, according to the headlines coming out.
So this is seemingly new information now.
A little more information coming out.
Say this again.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Which one? The ship captain?
The captain, yeah.
He ordered the crew to slam rudder hard toward port and drop the anchor in a desperate bid to slow the ship. So, hey, it could have been a hacking issue where he's got no control of the ship and he's trying to do what he can. So, we don't know what's going on, but more, of course, will come out in the coming days. And real quick, hat tip to Pyro Fritz in the Getter chat as he turned me on to this story. Getting back to Diddy, a man claiming to be Diddy's neighbor says the rap mogul has busloads of girls come to the house at night. Believe it or not, I
saw this clip of this neighbor
from Double XL.
His Bentley.
From Double XL. He posted a video clip on Instagram of a man claiming to be Puff's next door neighbor. The video can be seen as the man sits in the passenger seat of his silver Bentley, calls out a person holding the camera.
Told you.
And he says,
like a Puff piece.
Tell him to stop bringing all them minors around here late at night. The unnamed neighbor screams toward the camera. I live next to him right now. He do too much. He bring buses in. Like big-ass buses. Anyhow, he says if my basketball goes over there, I just let it be because I don't want to knock on that door.
As always, we salute our military, active and active police, firefighters, first responders, EMTs, everybody on the front lines. Thanks, everybody on the show. Aaron, Fran, great job as always. Most of all, thank you to Live from Studio 6B audience. The boys will see you tomorrow night. I'll see you next Tuesday. Right here live from Studio 6B.